Hey, folks. Can you hear me now? Hopefully, you can hear me now. It's a new day, and there's always something that does not go the way you expect it to. That's a good one. That's a first one. So, good morning again to everybody. Welcome to the first Blue Friday before the true Blue Friday, where the Seahawks season will begin next week. So we, after 159 straight days of live content about the Seahawks, just eagerly awaiting this season to begin, finally, we are about to enter game week. So what I wanted to do today to kind of celebrate this, I think, great day that we're about to have collectively is I thought it'd be fun to talk about the thing that matters maybe the most, maybe matters the most for a team that you're cheering for, that you're rooting for in Seattle as a Seahawks fan, as a football fan. And that is, who can become an all-pro? Who can become one of the best players at their position in the entire NFL? And this, in the studies that I've done, looking at what makes a Super Bowl team, I've done this for years. I've done it dating back to the 80s, looking at like the difference between Super Bowl teams and everybody else. The number one consistent factor is how many all-pros that they have on their team. And generally speaking, you need at least two and generally three players at least to be all pro level players in order to be a true Super Bowl contending team. And the Seahawks have not had a lot of these lately. And we're not going to, if everyone's going to say like Jeff Simmons, if you're listening, he on his Real Hawk Talk predictions this week, I asked everybody to predict their all pros for the year. And Jeff Simmons, he included Michael Dixon. Now, you know, Michael Dixon and Jason Myers, if they somehow become all pros, which would not be a shock, at least for Dixon, that's not going to be something that makes you a Super Bowl team. So we're not going to talk about special teams guys. No offense. Well, maybe a little bit of offense, but we're gonna talk about position players that have the potential to be the best at their position in the NFL and really impact the game week in, week out to the point where teams do not know how to deal with this person. They do not get sleep at night thinking about how to deal with this person. And this is going to be a year where that might be the number one measure of success for your Seattle Seahawks this year is how many players become all pros or even get all pro votes. Because as optimistic as the most optimistic person out there can be, I think the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl this year would be a pretty big surprise for even the most ardent Seahawks fan. But what we're, I think, tracking toward is, are we building a roster that is good enough foundationally to be in that conversation? And a lot of it we've talked about, well, the defense has to take a step forward. Mike McDonald and the scheme and the play calling. The offense has to be better. Ryan Grubb has to make the offensive line, all these kinds of things. Those things are all true. But you can be excellent in a lot of those ways. But if you don't have transcendent talent, if you don't have absolutely top shelf talent, your chances to be the best team at the end of the year are pretty small. So that's what I want to talk about today, and appreciate you all being patient with me as we got a little bit to a late start. And then, you know, my sound wasn't turned on. So, you know, I said some amazing things, by the way, while I was on mute. You guys had no idea the knowledge I was dropping for that 60 seconds or whatever it was. Before I get into, sharing a little bit more about this, I'll tell you guys, I've got this idea that's starting to percolate in my head. Everyone keeps, has been interested in what we're going to do relative to charity this year, knowing that this is now my full-time gig. I've tried to be clear that charity is always going to be central to what we're doing here, even if it's not 100% of the proceeds anymore. It is going to be a significant portion. We've already given away, a couple $1,000s to George Fant's foundation and to Uchenna Nwosu's foundation, and there's going to be more. Well, I've got this idea, and I could use your help in refining it because it's been there for a while, and I haven't figured out exactly how to pull it off because it's a big idea. But I would like to do something around My Cause, My Cleats, which happens in like week 13 and week 14. And the idea is I instead of donating to just one cause this year, we've done Ben's Fund for all these years and $260,000 plus to date. I want to spread it out this year. Well, the ultimate spreading out of the donations this year would be to do something across the My Cause, My Cleats period of time. And I'd love to make donations to as many players and coaches as possible during those 2 weeks for their causes that they're promoting. And I've got like the faint vision of how this could be pulled off and what it would be like. But, I don't want to commit to something I can't pull off, like we're talking about pretty big numbers potentially of how much would have to be raised in order to do that and not do what I've done on this show for every other year, which is spend more money on it and give away more money than we've made. But I just wanted to kind of plant that seed. And if there's some ideas that you guys have, I think it would be also fun if we could make it a thing across the fan base where, I figure out, donate to as many of these causes as possible with the players involved, the coaches involved, and get the fan base involved as well. So not a well-formed thought, but did want to share it because you guys are full of great ideas. You're all creative members of this community. And if you can picture it, I think I can picture it, and something really cool could happen later this season. And we've got a little bit of time, got a few months till then, we could build toward it. But just wanted you guys to know, like, anyone that's concerned that this isn't going to be that charity is not going to be a big part of what we do, rest assured, like that's something I think about all the time, and I'm looking forward to it. And part of why, look, it's not just what we give away from the proceeds from the show, but it's also within, the membership, right? Like Alan Bond here today on Blue Friday, before the real Blue Friday, has gifted 5 Hawk Blogger memberships, which I love. You guys know this is my favorite thing that happens. And this is Alan's 5-month anniversary, man. Thank you so much, man. This is someone who's been with this show since the beginning, supporting what's going on here. And, those long timers, we're going to have to share stories, hopefully years from now, about how Alan Bond was one of the first people to support this show as it hopefully continues to grow and the community continues to grow. We're just short of 12,000 subscribers to the channel right now. Personally, I'm superstitious enough. I would love to get to 12,000 subscribers before the first game of the week next week. So we're maybe like 300 people short of 12,000 subscribers. I want to look back in a few years, 50,000, 60,000, 80,000, whatever it's going to be. I want to have such a huge community here of just the best people and the best fans together. And Alan will have been one of the first. So really, really appreciate you and appreciate you helping to bring in other folks into the mix. So thank you so much for that. And Kane just said that he has secretly subscribed his wife. I'll take it. Let's get the numbers, man. Obviously, my preference is people that are wanting to be part of the community themselves, but who knows? Kane's wife may not realize the gift that she's just been given. So appreciate that. And oh my gosh, there goes Hawks fan Matt Man. Also, one of the originals has been here for almost every show, maybe every show. I don't know, but an avid supporter has gifted 20 memberships. That is incredibly generous of you, Matt, and really appreciate you. He's also a Patreon member over at patreon.com/hawkblogger, which, by the way, they haven't yet enabled gifting of Patreon memberships. It's coming. And when they do, I will let you guys know, because Patreon is amazing. The Slack channel is amazing. It is a great place. I'm seeing more and more people join over there. And that's where if you love this chat and the real-time chat that we do here, that is just a permanent community over there where just people are able to talk about the game, talk about the team, talk about news coming and going. So yeah, I really, really appreciate Matt giving away these memberships and also being a Patreon member at patreon.com/hawkblogger. So amazing. And if you wanted to get one of these free memberships, just make sure you have to have gifting turned on. So you got to go to the join link, then you got to click the three little buttons or dots and turn on gifting in order to get one of these memberships that might just be floating around waiting to be given to you. This show, like every show, is brought to you by ftnfantasy.com. Promo code Hawks gets you 15% off, less than $8 a month for their Stats Hub subscription, which is you have to be Fantasy Football Plus or greater to get the Stats Hub subscription. And as I've said over and over again, and I will continue to say, I've been a subscriber before I partnered with FTN. Aaron Schatz and what he's done at Football Outsiders is legendary. It is the only place that you can get DVOA data. And in fact, I was looking this morning because I was having trouble sleeping. I'm of the age that one drink and I get a headache. That's the age I am. Anyway, I was looking at DVOA data. I was looking at the Denver Broncos trying to start doing preview stuff of their EPA per dropback, certain coverages, how it trended over time. All that stuff was available to me as a subscriber to Stats Hub over at FTN Fantasy. It's great information. I'll be sharing some of that data, but now is a great time, not only if you're a fantasy football nut, if you are into sports betting, or if you just want all the best data about NFL football to be able to do your own analysis. This is a place to do it, less than $8 a month. And yes, there's a comment that that I'm old. It is true. There's no denying it. I'm old. And you won't see any coloring of my beard or anything else, or hair plugs or anything else. I'm just going to age however I'm meant to age, and you guys are going to be forced to watch it happen. So congratulations to you for that. Cameron, thank you for the gift membership. Been in Renton all my life. Cameron, welcome to the crew. Great to have you. Really appreciate it. Also, Agent Michael Scarn, thank you for the gift membership to Matt. So just really great to see the membership growing. All right. Everyone, like people that have tuned in the beginning, are like, oh my God, can we just get to the bulk of the show already? Yes. Sorry, it's a slow start. Let's just relax, everybody. Chill. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about who are the potential members that could be all pros on the Seahawks. And in order to do that, I want to start by talking about who were all pros last year, not from the Seahawks, but from the entire NFL. And so as I look through this, these were your quarterbacks that were all pros last year: Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Joe Burrow. Is that really Oh, that's PFF's second team. I don't know how Joe Burrow could have been an All-Pro last year. But let's just stick with the AP and the Football Writers All-Pro. So I'm going to take Joe Burrow off that list. Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts were your first and second team All-Pros last year. Kind of shocking that Hurts is on that list. I'm like double check. Oh, wait, that's 2022. Gosh darn it. Let's go back to 2023. There we go. That makes more sense. All right. Another false start. Hopefully this is not a sign of things to come. All right. So these are your 2023 All-Pros. Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott. That makes more sense. That makes more sense as your quarterback All-Pros going in. We got a super chat I'll get to real quick. Nate Schutz says, just want to say this channel is great. I look forward to waking up and chatting with some of the best Seahawks fans in the world. Go Hawks. I love that, Nate, and I feel the same way. All right. So Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott were your quarterback All-Pros. Christian McCaffrey, Kyron Williams, and then Raheem Mostert were your running back, and it looks like Derrick Henry as well. Derrick Henry had almost 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns last year. So, okay. He was with the Football Writers. Yeah, first team all conference. I might have to stick with just the AP. Let's do that because this Football Writers one is throwing me a little bit. So let's stick with AP. Kyron Williams and Christian McCaffrey were the All-Pros. Christian McCaffrey first team, Kyron Williams second team. And then fullback, there's an All-Pro fullback. Kyle Juszczyk was the first team All-Pro. Patrick Ricard from Baltimore is the second team All-Pro from last year. Wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and Amon-Ra St. Brown were the three first team All-Pros last year. Second team were Brandon Ayuk, the newly signed $30 million a year Brandon Ayuk, A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua, and Mike Evans. So altogether, the All-Pro receivers were CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brandon Ayuk, A.J. Brown, and Puka Nacua. Oh, and Mike Evans. Okay, so that's a long list of receivers. Keep that in mind when we have this conversation. Next on the list, tight end. George Kittle was first team. Sam Laporta was second team. Left tackle, or tackle in general, I guess. Trent Williams and Penei Sewell were your first team tackles. Tyron Smith of Dallas was a second team, as well as I only have Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson was your other second team tackle. All right, so Tyron Smith, Jordan Mailata, Trent Williams, and Lane Johnson. Your guards, Tyler Smith of Dallas was a second team. Joe Thuney and Zach Martin were your first team. It's kind of crazy that Dallas had this many All-Pros on their offensive line. I don't know that I thought that offensive line was that good last year, but okay. Chris Lindstrom of the Falcons was part of your second team. Guard position. Center was Jason Kelsey, first team. So that's someone who's no longer in the league. So that's a spot that will open up. Frank Ragnow was second team. On defense, let's see. Myles Garrett was first team defensive end. Nick Bosa. Oh, no, dude, is that right? No. Max Crosby was second team. And TJ Watt. TJ Watt was the other first team. Micah Parsons was second team. So if we're looking at defensive end, outside linebacker, edge players, so Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, and TJ Watt. And then defensive tackle, Aaron Donald, first team. Another spot opens up. Chris Jones, first team. Dexter Lawrence, second team. Justin Madubuike, second team. So those are your interior defensive tackles. Linebacker, Fred Warner, Roquan Smith were your first team. Demario Davis of New Orleans was a second team. Quincy Williams was also a first team linebacker. Bobby Wagner was a second team. And Patrick Queen, Lightning McQueen. Patrick Queen was a second team. Rounding it up here with cornerbacks, Sauce Gardner and Deron Bland were first team cornerbacks. Jalen Johnson of the Bears was second team. Trent McDuffie of the Chiefs was first team as a nickel corner. Charvarius Ward of the 49ers was second team. Teron Johnson of the Bills was second team All-Pro. And then finally, safety. You've got Kyle Hamilton and Antoine Winfield Jr. as your first team safeties at All-Pro. Then Jesse Bates of the Falcons. Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons of the Broncos were your second team. So that's kind of going through that list of who was a All-Pro last year. Now let's start talking about Seahawks players that are even just on this list for consideration. Okay. We're going to go through, we'll figure out our ranking as we go, but let's just get names listed right now. So I'm going to start, just putting names. You guys can react as I add these names. If you think they don't even belong on the list, that's fair. I'm going to start with Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker III is a guy that could be on this list. I'm going to put Geno Smith on this list. That's probably pretty controversial, but I'll put him on this list. DK Metcalf, not controversial, on this list. I'm going to put Charles Cross on this list. I think we'll talk about how likely, but I'm going to put him on the list. I'm going to put Connor Williams on this list. Elsewhere on offense, I don't think Jackson Smith-Njigba is really on this list yet. That could be wrong, but that's where I am with it. So I'm not going to put him on the list. I don't think anyone else on the offensive line. I don't think Noah Fant. So I think that for me is the extent of possibilities on the offense. You guys agree or disagree? Let me know. Defensively, Reek Woolen is on this list. Devin Witherspoon is on this list. Who else would be on this list? Let's go from front to back. So I don't personally believe Boye Mafe is on this list. I don't believe Derek Hall is on this list. I don't believe Uchenna Nwosu is on it. I'm just not convinced yet that those guys are in the running to be the best at their position this year. If I go to defensive interior, I don't think Jaron Reed is on this list. I see folks saying Leonard Williams. Let's take a look at Leonard Williams. And I see people reacting to Charles Cross. I'll get to those reactions in a second because I'm not surprised. Let's see if Leonard Williams has ever even gotten an All-Pro in previous years. Where is Leonard Williams on this list? Because I personally don't have Leonard Williams. I don't know if I would have Leonard Williams on this list. I'm going to look back. He has been only a Pro Bowler once. I think it's unlikely that Leonard Williams is going to be an All-Pro for the first time at age 30, after never getting there before. Trying to see if he has ever gotten any second team votes. Oh, Wikipedia might have that information. Now, not seeing that he has ever gotten, he's only been to one Pro Bowl, folks, 2016. So I'm not going to put Leonard Williams on this list. So apologies if you disagree. Someone I am going to put on this list that's going to be controversial. I'm going to put Byron Murphy on this list. It would be a huge accomplishment, but I think that Byron Murphy has that ceiling. And even if it's not this year, I think that that All Pro is something that he could accomplish over the course of his career. If you're kind of curious, Aaron Donald, who's obviously the best that's ever done it, he was not an All Pro as a rookie. He was a Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he made the Pro Bowl. He had 9 sacks, but he did not make the All Pro. Jalen Carter last year, who had, a lot of acclaim, and he did not make the Pro Bowl, did not win Defensive Rookie of the Year, and did not make All Pro either. He had 6 sacks. So it is not likely, but I am going to put him on the list because I just think that I can see it. And so we'll see about that. Other players on the interior, Draymond Jones is a name I predicted to lead the team in sacks. I don't think that he's got All Pro ceiling, so I'm not going to put him on this list. I think it's a possibility, but I don't think he's on this list. Moving back to linebacker Jerome Baker, Tyrell Dodson. I have there's a little part of me that wants to put Tyrell Dodson on this list. Keep in mind, this was the number 1 ranked PFF linebacker in football last year over Fred Warner. It was only for 8 games, but 8 games is like half a season. And then in preseason, he was like the number 2 graded PFF linebacker. I love what I've seen from Tyrell Dodson. I think he's going to have a huge year. I'm going to put him on the list. I don't know likelihood, but I'm going to put him on the list. That is going to be shocking to some people, but I think if you look at the linebacker position, as we kind of go back to who has done this before, I feel like the guys that have been All Pros, last year, I'm not sure. Like did Bobby Wagner was an All Pro last year. You're really saying that there's no chance that Tyrell Dodson in this defense with Mike McDonald, that he has no chance of having a better year than Bobby Wagner did last year? Demario Davis is 35. He was a second team All Pro. I think that you got to give there a little bit of a chance that Tyrell Dodson reaches that point. I just don't know. I haven't seen enough. Jerome Baker hasn't been on the field, so it's just hard for me to say. Cornerback, we've got Devin Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen. I think those are guys that have it as possibilities. Safety. Let's put Julian Love on this list. I'm not sure I see that in his ceiling. I see him as being a Pro Bowl ceiling guy, but they signed him almost not sight unseen, but regular season in this defense unseen. And so let's see if I think he squeaks onto this list. I don't think Rayshawn Jenkins or Kayvon Wallace. So those are the guys to me that have a shot. So while I was doing that, we got another generous gift. This one from RJ Puderbow. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Please correct me in chat if I got it wrong. He's given 5 Hawkblogger memberships. So we are continuing to grow the channel. I really, really appreciate it. And I know the people that receive these memberships appreciate it. I'm going to clear my throat real quick. Really think about, if you get gifted a membership, consider paying it forward. That is kind of a tradition here. Gift it to other people. Subscribe for the next month. One of the things that, these gifted memberships are unbelievable and amazing. But people have to agree to continue to support the show in order for them to last and not just be a 1-month thing. And so you can pay it forward by just continuing to be a member. It would be really, really great. Or give it to other people as well. That's a great way to pay it forward. And thank you to RJ for being one of those people to pay it forward as well. All right, so let's get those names again. I will list them off for you guys. And I'll actually, why don't I do this? I will share this screen for you. Before I do, let me just remind you all, if you haven't already, go over to ftmfantasy.com, use promo code HAWKS, get 15% off your subscription to Stats Hub, Fantasy Football Plus or Beyond membership will get you that. Really, really love what they're doing over there. We are going to have so much fun together this year as partners. Use promo code HAWKS, get 15% off, less than $8 a month. It is a screaming, screaming deal. All right, so let me share my screen here with the players that I've picked. It's a very lovely screen you're going to see, this spreadsheet. It's just so gorgeous. Let me blow it up for you. There you go. So these are the guys that I have as potential All-Pro potential. Okay. And those names are Kenneth Walker, Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Charles Cross, Connor Williams, Reek Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, Byron Murphy, Tyrell Dodson, Julian Love. All right. Let's get into starting to rank the most likely to least likely. And we'll see about that. And we got a super chat from Detail. Appreciate it. It says, this is in jest, since staff obviously can't be all pro, but Mike McDonald plus rest of staff will get the most out of this team. And anyone who makes all pro this year will owe huge thanks to the coaching staff. Agree with you on that. I agree with you for sure. I think one of the big stories of this year is, are we going to get the most out of this talent? And I think the coaching staff is a reason why I'm bullish on that happening. So really, really agree with you. And thank you for the super chat. Detail. So let's look at guys that have made a Pro Bowl. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up for each of these guys whether they have made a Pro Bowl in their career. And I'm going to go with the people that I know for sure to start with. So we know that Geno Smith, so Pro Bowl, made Pro Bowl. Okay. Geno Smith has made a Pro Bowl. DK Metcalf has made a Pro Bowl. I don't know if Connor Williams was. I have to look back. Reek Woolen has made a Pro Bowl. Devin Witherspoon, I think, has. Let me double check on that. I think, but we'll see. Julian Love did last year. It was a bit of a shock, but he did. And so Kenneth Walker, let's double check on this, did not. Geno Smith, for what it's worth, has made a Pro Bowl both years as a Seahawk. DK Metcalf has made the Pro Bowl 2 times, including last year. Let's see. Julian Love, as I said. Devin Witherspoon did make the Pro Bowl last year. So let me give him his reward there. Connor Williams, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. I don't know if he ended up making it. Connor Williams has not made the Pro Bowl. Okay, so that would be new for him. Tyrell Dodson has not. Byron Murphy is not. So those are the guys that have made the Pro Bowl. And I think, it's just worthwhile to be realistic about, you're probably going to want to be a Pro Bowler before you make a All-Pro. That's some weight. The other thing that I think is a factor is where there's been a position group that has had some attrition. So All-Pro, let's call it a trit. And this could be like Aaron Donald retiring, right? So defensive tackle, Aaron Donald, I'll just do an X. We'll say Aaron Donald's gone there. I think we could have some attrition here at linebacker. Bobby Wagner could age out of this. By the way, love that Bobby's opening up a crumble down in Renton. Bobby's the best. Love Bobby. Demario Davis, as I said, aging out. So I think there could be some attrition there. If I look at other guys, other position groups that might have people aging out. Oh, center, Jason Kelsey, retired. So that's one. I think tackle is one that belongs on this list because I'm not sure, Tyron Smith, he is, how old is he? He's only 34. I guess that's younger than I thought, but it could happen. Trent Williams on that list is 36. And if he's injured, I don't think he's going to be not an All-Pro if he plays, but if he misses half a season, if he gets injured, I think that's a real possibility. So I think tackle belongs on the list of possible attrition where there could be opening up some spots. Where else? I think wide receiver, Mike Evans, he's going to be 31. He's proven it every year. He keeps coming back, but I think that you could argue that could be the case there. Running back, what do we think about that? Christian McCaffrey, nah. Raheem Mostert, I think he was Derrick Henry. Are those guys? Yeah, those were AP guys. Oh, no, they were not. That's what was confusing before. So I don't know about running back. I think I would list tackle. I think those are the ones where maybe I see some attrition potentially happening. So that, if we look at that combined, where is there some attrition and where is there people that on the Seahawks have made a Pro Bowl? There's no overlap. So that doesn't help. That doesn't help the cause so much. But let's talk about guys that for me just they look the part. They look like they're ready. And this is Brian's picks. Brian's kind of like, I'll just say Brian picks about who I think looks ready to make this leap heading into the season. These are the guys that jump out to me: Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Reek Woolen, Devin Witherspoon. Those are the guys for me that are kind of top tier that I'd be looking out for as players that could make the leap. I think so. Let me call those kind of like I'm going to call tier one. These are the guys that I'd have the most belief in. And if I'm really doing that, let's do a couple different tiers here. I'm going to do 3 tiers. All right. Let's do tier 2 and BN tier 3. And for these guys, I would say I'm going to move Kenneth Walker. Let's do this so we keep these guys in view. I'm going to move Kenneth Walker to tier 2. He's real close, but I really have to put these 3 guys in their own tier. DK Metcalf, Reek Wool, and Devin Witherspoon. I just feel like those guys are a cut above everybody else. Other people that I think belong in tier 2, it may just be Kenneth Walker. I just haven't seen enough of Connor Williams to know. I think Geno Smith looks fantastic. The competition at quarterback for me is why I don't have him as a tier 2. For what it's worth, like, I think he is having as good of a camp as DK Metcalf is and looks ready to make a big jump. But the likelihood that Geno Smith will get all pro over some of the other guys, that's a big leap. So I'd put him, I'm going to put Geno in tier 3. I would put Connor Williams. I'm going to put Connor Williams. I'm going to put him in tier 3. This is a big risk because I just haven't seen him. But the reason I'm putting him there is I think he was playing close to this level last year before he got hurt, was getting recognition for playing near that level. And I feel like he is going to have a chance to be a real difference maker in Ryan Grubb's offense. So and plus the attrition with Jason Kelce, I just think that there's a decent chance. And then I think that's where I would leave it. Let's go ahead and do a tier 4. And these are guys that I really just think have a shot. But it's a long shot. So that would be Charles Cross. I'd put Tyrell Dodson in tier 4. And I'll put Julian Love in tier 4. I think Byron Murphy is like a tier 5. Like, for him to get enough snaps as a rookie, it's a it's a pretty big long shot. So if we kind of look at this together, what do we, they want me to narrow the columns. I love that we've got spreadsheet jockeys in here. Love to all you guys. Yes, you can see them all now. There you go. Thank you. So if we kind of do this, let me do some quick sorting and see how this goes. It kind of goes. Do I have DK Metcalf in 2 tiers? How is that possible? That's not possible. I don't know why that's the case. We have got, I'm missing somebody. Am I missing somebody in tier 2? No, I'm not. Charles Cross, I think, was supposed to be tier 4. There we go. So if we're looking at guys that I've got in tier 1 that have made the Pro Bowl before, that is DK Metcalf, Reek Wool, and Devin Witherspoon. I'm curious where you guys are on this. Would you have any of those guys in different tiers? Anybody feels like that they belong in, like, I could really make the case that DK Metcalf is one of one. Like, he is the tier 1 guy. I think he is the guy that looks like he is ready to absolutely be one of the best at his position and just could have a monster year. I've got DK. It would not shock me if he has 1,500 yards. I wouldn't be shocked if he has 15 plus touchdowns. I wouldn't be shocked if he pushes 20 to, like, I think he could have a monster year. So DK, for me, I could make that case. I think Reek Woolen is right right there, right behind him. I'd put Metcalf above, Reek Woolen right behind him. I think Reek Woolen, people would say, maybe be surprised and say, well, why isn't Devin Witherspoon the guy that's right behind him? Well, I'm just telling you guys, I think Reek Woolen has been outstanding during this camp and he is like DK, he is a transcendent athlete. He has athletic abilities that nobody else in the world has. He just is. You hear people talk about the measurables that he put on. He had like 100 percentile, not 99, 100 percentile attributes. And so when you have a guy like that then starts to play really well, which I think he is, then he's like right there. But I still have DK a little bit above him, partially because of recognition, but just because of level of play. I could put them both in tier 1 by themselves. I could move Devin Witherspoon to a tier 1A. I think Devin Witherspoon is set up to be the biggest playmaker in this defense for Mike Macdonald. As I talked on the predictions show, I think that Devin Witherspoon can have 7+ sacks this year. Like, forget for a second his shutdown corner abilities. Forget for a second the interceptions, the big hits. I think that he could have 7+. I think he's going to fill up the stat sheet. I think this guy is going to be a player. Remember Rod Woodson or Charles Woodson. Sorry, not Rod Woodson as well, but Charles Woodson, and the numbers that he would put up over years. Like, this was a guy that I'm looking back at some of his stats. He would have in some of his best years 18 passes defensed, a handful of sacks, 9 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, a bunch of tackles, 10 tackles for loss. Like, he would fill up the stat sheet as a cornerback, eventually as a safety. I think Charles Woodson is the kind of player that I think Devin Witherspoon can become. So I don't think it's crazy that the Seahawks could get to the requisite 2 to 3 all pros to be a contender this year. I think all 3 of those guys legitimately could make that leap this year. When we get to tier 2, I only have Kenneth Walker in that tier. And here's the thing with Kenneth Walker, man. I love his explosion. I love his playmaking. I love the shape that he's in, how he's approaching the team this year, the season. I still need to see him be the guy that can hit it up in there and get the 3-4 yard gains instead of bouncing it out all the time, taking losses. For him to really reach his potential, he needs to not just be an improvisational explosive player, but a guy that can hit the hole as designed and be an explosive player. And he's done that before, but that's a big change. The other thing that has to happen for him to really hit the all-pro level, he has to do what I'm predicting, which is to become a huge part of the passing game as a receiver. In order for that to happen, he has to be good enough in pass protection, blitz pickup, to be out there on third downs and get a larger percentage of the snaps. I think all of those things are in play. I think they're going to go into the season with him as their third down back, as opposed to Zach Charbonnet all the time or Kenny McIntosh. I think we're going to see a lot more snaps for Kenneth Walker. I think we're going to see 50+ receptions for Kenneth Walker. That would be a 20 reception leap from where he was. I think that he could have 1,300+ yards rushing, 300 or 400 yards receiving, and 10, 12 touchdowns. And if you do that, you're talking all pro. So I do think it's there for him. I think it's more of a projection for me because it's so hard to tell running game in preseason, just period. In practice, it's just like, I don't trust my eyes until you get into the season. The offensive line also is hugely important to Kenneth Walker being able to make this leap. And we just don't know with that offensive line either. So that's why I've got Kenneth Walker at tier 2 from a talent perspective, from the way he looks perspective. He's right on the cusp of tier 1. I don't think it's crazy that he could make it as well. We got a new member. We got to celebrate that. Catherine McGarry. Love it. I don't talk about it that much, but I will say it. By nature, sports and sports obsession tends to be a male dominated thing. And, some of my favorite experiences in sports have come with women in my life, whether it's my mom, even my sister, even my wife, although she would bring a book to read at Seahawks games when I made her go. Can you imagine reading in that atmosphere? But she did it. And I just really, really appreciate the women members that we've got on here. Jen Maz has been a member for a long time. There's a ton of folks that have been members here that I really, really appreciate, and really happy to have Catherine join that crew. So this will always be as inclusive of a group as we could possibly can make it, and really, really appreciate all people from all walks, all locations. Everyone's welcome in here as long as you're nice to each other. All right, so continuing on. So that was Kenneth Walker. Tier 3, the Geno Smith thing I kind of went over. I think Geno Smith, it is not crazy. Of the tier 3 guys, he may be the one that has the most realistic chance. If let's put it this way, if DK Metcalf has the season that I think he could have, if JSN has the season I think he could have, if Kenneth Walker has the season he could have, and then, at the back end of this, Charles Cross we'll talk about in a second, then Geno Smith could have best quarterback in the NFC kind of year. He could. Remember, it's just 2 years ago, he led the NFC in passing touchdowns with 30. He was fourth in the NFL. I think it was fourth. It was fourth or third in the NFL overall, behind only a couple, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, I think it was those two and Joe Burrow, maybe. He was only behind those guys in passing touchdowns. So it's not crazy to think that in this system under Ryan Grubb, with these weapons ready to kind of come of age, that Geno Smith could jump to that point. That would be fun. That would be my favorite, to be honest. And they would never be able to take that away from Geno Smith. Connor Williams is a sneaky one. We don't know what we have. We don't know how long he's going to play. We don't know if he's going to be healthy. We don't know how well he will play if he plays. We don't know how he'll fit into this offense. You just don't know. So I would say that Connor Williams is a guy that's got a chance, and we gotta wait and see. But from a guy that has been at Pro Bowl level and arguably all pro level, that is a guy that belongs on the list. Last tier here, the Dotson one I've kind of explained. I think that could be the biggest shock of them all, because no one's going to talk about that at this point in the season. I'm telling you, I love what I've seen from Tyrel Dotson. Maybe I will. I mean, look, I played something in the prediction show where I looked like a fool talking about, I was so negative about Devin Bush, and then the preseason came. I was like, well, maybe he looks all right. So who knows? Who knows? But Tyrel Dotson is a guy that, unlike Devin Bush, has had 8 games of elite linebacker play. Mike McDonald knows how to utilize linebackers as well or better than anybody else in the NFL. And T-Dot's a leader on this team already. I just keep an eye on this guy. Keep an eye on this guy. He may be the biggest surprise. He may be the guy that more people end up buying jerseys for that would have never done it to start the year of everybody on the team. I love the style of play, how physical he is. I just love everything about Tyrel Dotson. I hope he's a long-term member of this team. I already, before he's even played, that's kind of, I'm pretty confident he's going to be a very good player for this team. Julian Love, I don't see it with Julian Love. I don't. I got to be honest. I think Julian Love is a Pro Bowl ceiling kind of player. I love Julian Love as a person. I love him as a player. Maybe I get to be surprised here. That would be cool. He's definitely had the most interceptions in camp. He's played very well. He's the quarterback of that defense. So maybe that it happens. I just don't know if I see it. Safety certainly has been a position that has been a integral part of Mike Macdonald's defense. He has elevated guys like Geno Stone to be like very productive players. Maybe Julian Love will have 8 interceptions this year, like it's not crazy. But it's a little more of a squint for me. Charles Cross, I know everybody's like, he doesn't belong on this list. And you're probably right. And this is the biggest projection of the whole group. But the fact of the matter is, this guy was picked 9th overall. He has got physical traits that put him at that position in the draft. And he looks as good as he has ever looked, if not better than he has ever looked, not just by my eyes, but by many other people's eyes. And the fact of the matter is that if he puts it all together and this offense explodes, then Charles Cross will likely be a part of that story. And that offensive line will be part of that story, and people will keep an eye on this team. And as I mentioned earlier, there is attrition at this spot, I think. I think there's a chance that Trent Williams, there's an injury or, something goes wrong there. There's Tyron Smith for the Jets, potential that he's just not all pro level anymore at his age. I think there's a chance that some spots open up, and I think there's a chance that Charles Cross could do it. Honestly, of all of these, if that happens, the implications for the future with a 23-year-old all-pro left tackle would be massive. Penei Sewell is a 23-year-old all-pro left tackle for the Lions. We know what that means. I think it's a long shot, a very long shot, but he's a guy that I'd put on that list. I'll be curious. I'm sure there's prop bets out there somewhere. I won't take the time to look them up now to see of these guys what you get the best odds on. But here's how I'd kind of rank them in order. I would go. Let's do a quick rank. Okay. I'm going to put DK Metcalf 1, Woolen 2, Witherspoon 3. I will put Kenneth Walker 4. I will put, I'll put Connor Williams 5, Geno 6, Tyrell 7, Charles Cross 8. Charles Cross 8, Julian Love 9, and Byron Murphy 10. So this is my stack rank of what I think the most likely all pros are. Where do you guys differ? Where are you the same? I'm curious for your list, where you guys end up with this. I would be, honestly, folks, remember, we just need a few. We just need 2, 3. And it's hard. Like, when's the last time the Seahawks had an all-pro player? Seahawks all-pros. Let's see if I can find this. I think that I can get this. Bobby Wagner, second team. So not that far away. I'm trying to see. Last time they had a first team was Bobby Wagner in 2020. What about a player that isn't Bobby Wagner? Man, there have not been that many All-Pro years for the Seahawks in general. This is first team All-Pros, just to be clear. Other than that, Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman in 2014 were first team All-Pros. Max Unger in 2012. Marshawn Lynch in 2012. It's been a while. It's not that common. So, yeah, we will see. We will see. Just getting a few. I'm not gonna talk about Michael Dixon. If you heard at the beginning of the show, Michael Dixon, Jason Myers, a special teams coverage guy. Yes, all of those would be great. Those are not the ones that are going to make the difference between you getting to the Super Bowl and winning it or not. These are the guys positional players do. So yes, love to have an All-Pro season from any of the guys on special teams. I don't think that that's what I'm going to focus on. All right, folks. If you haven't already given the show a like and click subscribe, please do. I'd appreciate it. And love to hear in comments and in chat who you think will be the All-Pros for the Seahawks, who has the potential to be All-Pro for the Seahawks. Tell me where you think you see it differently. I would love to hear from you guys about that. Also, just make sure you head over to ftnfantasy.com. Use promo code Hawks, gets you 15% off Stats Hub. You will absolutely love doing it, and it helps the show. It helps grow what we're doing here, and I would really appreciate that. Otherwise, tomorrow morning, Seahawks Saturday with Jeff Simmons. Sunday, I'm trying to work it out. I don't have it confirmed yet. I'm hoping we're going to do a crossover pod with Rob Staten and Griff, See Mike Spin Move. We haven't done that for a while. I'm hoping we can get that done. And then next week, we got some announcements lined up. I'm looking forward to next week, game week. It'll all start to come into play. So Labor Day, keep an eye on what's going on there. I see a note from Richie Brash. Get some sleep, Brian. You're retweeting me at 3:30 a.m. It's true, Richie, man. I'm not the best sleeper, but it was great seeing you and your son having a good time at the game. That was an amazing picture and video. And I love when we do end up giving tickets away, which we do for Patreon members, patreon.com/hawkblogger. When there's tickets to be given away, they go to patrons. And I generally try to prioritize giving the people that have kids, people that have not ever been to a game, or have kids that have not been to a game. And in this case, Richie's kid had not been to a game. Check my timeline. Talk about an adorable little kid. Richie's got one. So I'm glad you guys had a good time. It was a fun game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Appreciate it. All right, folks. With that, I will say, have a wonderful Friday. I am Brian M. Hazard. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, which, by the way, if you can just quickly open up Instagram and click follow, I would appreciate it. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HawkBlogger. This has been episode 159 of Hawk Blogger Mornings. See you all tomorrow.